come out at the old ball game.
Good morning and happy Easter to everybody out there. Today, got Easter Sunday. Getting a little bit excited this week because it is draft week, and who doesn't like the NFL draft? Fun to watch, fun to see. So this week we've got draft pick football. Seemed to be a fitting occasion, so kind of excited to see them. I actually haven't ever opened this particular set of cards, either the Prizm or the Select in this set. So the new one for me. Hopefully, it's a new one for you, or at least you enjoy watching people open these particular cards. Randy, how are you doing on this Easter Sunday?
I'm not as excited about the Easter part of it as I am the football that's coming up, the draft. One of my favorite times of the year. I love the draft. Love this stuff. This is where you get to see, you're going to get to see some big trades. You're going to get to see some young players that you hope are going to help your team. It's where everybody is filled with hope that it's like your team is going to get better or is going to, you know, contend, or somehow they're going to find that magical player somewhere in the draft. I mean, it's just a time when it's like all NFL fans who are diehards can get really excited.
Well, I always like to do a mock draft of my own, just to see if I can get anywhere close. I'm usually way off, but it's always fun to do it going up, because all of the mocks and everything change like minutes before the draft even starts. So you really don't know. I mean, number one's usually pretty set in stone, but yeah, could be a fun week.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this is still one of those drafts where kind of, Shador Sanders kind of right now, because of the uncertainties around what teams really want to deal with his ego. It's like, where's he going? Technically he should go number 2 because the Browns need a quarterback. But it seems like they're going to pass him up for Travis Hunter, which I got no problem with. But I really don't think that he should go further than 3. I think the Giants definitely should take him. But they're looking at, you got to keep your options open. And you do have Abdul Carter out there, who's supposed to be an elite defensive end or pass rusher. So, I mean, it's just exciting. Will Shador go 6? Will he go 9 to the Saints because Carr's going to be out the whole year possibly? Will he slip to the Steelers?
Well, and they just, with Spencer Rattler, I don't know if the Saints would take him.
Yeah, but Spencer Rattler hasn't been that good. I mean, he really hasn't. And he was he was either a second or a fourth round pick. I can't remember where Rattler went.
All right. So today, if you hear my kids get up and start making a lot of noise at the end of the show, it's because it's Easter and they're going to be really excited. So, the forewarning, but in a great way. Gotta love it when the kids are excited about something, and we do we do a whole bunch of stuff. It's a fun holiday for us.
Yeah, I don't think Spencer Rattler went in that draft. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember where Spencer Rattler went.
All right, so we got 2023 draft picks. Did we decide that's Anthony Richardson, right? So Anthony Richardson on the front.
Yes.
On the front there, there's 5 cards per pack, 6 packs in a box. What do you think? Let's get going, huh?
Do it. Oh, he was a 5th-round pick.
Ooh, shiny. All right. So speaking of, first card is Anthony Richardson. Right there on the front. And you got Christian Watson for my Packers, who gets hurt all the time. Keyshawn Johnson, USC.
I'll tell you, so far this pack has had 2 of the most overrated players in history.
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, there was so much potential in him. I thought he was a can't miss prospect, and he's had injuries and he's battled them. And
Oh, and then it looks like we got some draft picks from Florida, it looks like. From the Gators, you had Richardson, Damian Pierce, and Emmitt Smith. Pretty neat.
I mean, Emmett, one of the all-time greats. I'm not sure the other ones are going to quite walk in those footsteps. Well, you know what? But at least it's not who was the guy that we got? We got the Denver Broncos drafted, I can't remember. I think his last name was Moss. And he was a defensive end. We were real high on him, and he ended up being just so bad. He was too undersized, and he did nothing for us. I just can't remember what his first name was, but he was a defensive end out of Florida.
You got Devon A-Chain, who's been lighting it up in Miami the last couple seasons.
He's also a guy that has some injury issues, but when he's right, he is good.
Obviously not supposed to be in the 2023 draft picks, but Rob Gronkowski for Arizona. Arguably the best tight end to ever play.
The amazing part about Ron Gronkowski is I don't remember hearing anything about him at Florida when he played. But boy, he did. He turned into one of the best tight ends to ever play the game, followed up by one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game.
Yep. Justin Jefferson, obviously one of the more talented wide receivers.
Hey, he plays for one of your rivals.
Then we got Trevor Lawrence on a silver prism here. It looks like a silver prism, but I don't mind his game. He could be a little bit better, but they really need to get him some more firepower out there if they want to do anything in Jacksonville.
Well, but I mean, the thing is, it's like they keep changing coaches on him because he's going to be on his 3rd head coach. His first head coach, I'm sorry, but Urban Meyer is a terrible NFL coach. And he did a terrible job with Trevor Lawrence. But then the guy they brought in specifically, Peterson, to help Trevor Lawrence, doesn't look like he helped him that much. So hopefully next man up can make him better or get him to where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks. He was a generational talent, and he hasn't shown it yet.
Got Eli Manning.
We should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, 2 Super Bowl wins against the vaunted Patriots.
You got Tyler Lockett, who was just a wonderful wide receiver for the Seahawks.
For so many years. Oh, they're great.
Oh, the 2 brothers in the same box. How funny.
Yeah. As good as Eli was, Peyton was a million times better.
And then there's Geno Smith.
There's a 2nd-round pick, Geno Smith, that was a bust for the Jets, but I think everybody's a bust for the Jets. They haven't had a great quarterback since Namath.
Give me one.
Chad Pennington is probably the best quarterback they had before that. Well, I mean Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not, end of his career, Aaron Rodgers.
Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on.
It's like we've got some good players up there. Although I don't think I'd put Anthony Richardson up there. Anthony Richardson to me is one of the more overrated prospects. It's like if you look at Anthony Richardson's original scouting reports, he was going to be a 4th round pick. And because his combine was amazing, it's like his combine was amazing, he kept rising up the draft. And I kept telling people he is not going to be a good NFL quarterback. And I've been proven right on that because I do not think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback.
I believe Geno Smith just got traded to the Raiders.
He did. And he got a new contract from the Raiders. Which I am hoping that he is abysmal for the Raiders because I'm a Broncos fan and I do not want to see Geno Smith. He already carved us up as a Seahawk quarterback. I definitely don't want to see him do it as a Raider quarterback.
Here's another guy, unstoppable. Bijan Robinson, who I really liked coming out of the draft. I wanted, you always have the guys you see that you want your team to take, and I thought he would be a good fit for the Packers.
Well, and it's like, I still remember, and I was wrong about it, but I remember this was years and years ago, but the Denver Broncos were picking like 17th or 18th in the draft, and we needed a wide receiver. And I remember it's like I watched the University of Hawaii because I was watching some late games at that time. So Hawaii played like the latest games. So I'd be watching the University of Hawaii. And I remember Ashley Lilly making absolutely phenomenal catches and just being amazing. So when the Broncos got Ashley Lilly, I was so excited. And he was an average at best wide receiver for us, and more than likely he'd be considered a disappointment. But it was like I got the player I wanted. It just wasn't the right guy.
Now this guy, I'm trying to think of who he is. Josh Downs. Do you know where he's at?
It's like, I'm not sure if Josh Downs was a later pick or because I don't know why I'm not able to picture Josh Downs.
Yeah, I'm having trouble placing him.
Well, Josh Downs plays for the Colts. He's a wide receiver for the Colts. Well, seeing as the quarterback they have, Richardson, can't throw. But he actually has 140 catches, 1,574 yards so far. Not bad.
Well, the Colts are not a team I follow at all, so that makes sense.
No, I really don't follow the Colts, but Josh Downs he's playing pretty good.
And then you got George Kittle for the Hawkeyes.
We all know who George Kittle is.
He is a excellent tight end.
Well, the funny part is I still wanted Pitts to go to San Francisco, end up in San Francisco with Kittles, so it could be Kittles and Pitts.
Dalvin Cook, obviously this was not his draft year, but very good running back for the Vikings for a long time. Used to torment the Packers. Jordan Addison for the Trojans. I'm trying to picture where he's at too, and I can't.
Jordan, I know that the name Jordan Addison sounds familiar. I think he's a receiver for the Vikings. He's there with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because him and we just had his card, and it's out of my head, and I can't remember. Jefferson are actually really good together.
Yep. It's so funny looking at these cards. I'm like, where was that guy again? It's some
And
of
it's
them.
like, if you spell Jordan wrong, that's yeah.
And then we got
It's funny. He started out at the University of Pittsburgh.
we got a orange prism of some kind. For Barry Sanders.
For Okie State. Right there, best running back ever. The only guy that I will put close to him is King Henry. Because it's like, I love his running style, but I love Barry Sanders' running style the most.
Oh yeah, Barry was the GOAT.
It's like, I'd also put Walter Payton up there with him too in the pantheon, because Walter Payton for years played on bad Bears teams.
Sure.
And he still accumulated all those yards.
And you got kind of a bust at this point. You get Dak Prescott.
You know who he's better than, though? Paxton Lynch. It's like, if we would have been patient, we could have had Dak Prescott instead of Paxton Lynch.
Yeah. Could have had, LaDainian LT, great running back for the Chargers. Horned Frogs.
Too bad he had a mediocre quarterback in Rivers.
Brandon Ayuk.
Overrated.
He's good. He just doesn't have that star power, I don't think, that puts him at the top of the league.
Yeah, but he's being paid like a star. I mean, he's one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. And it's like, and basically, it's like, if it wasn't for the fact that he was on a team that had Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuels, and Kittles, I don't think that Ayuk would have been very good at all. I think he'd be a serviceable.
Tanner McKee.
Try to guess what he is.
I don't know.
I'll tell you right now, he's got a ring.
Does he?
He does. He has a ring. It's like he played for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's completed 30 of 45 passes. He has 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. Yet for some reason they had Kenny Pickett there, who also now has.
Oh, didn't McKee come in this year?
Yeah, McKee played a little bit this year.
Yeah, I remember they brought him in at the end of a game.
Yeah, he actually, like I said, he's thrown for 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, hey, he's basically perfect so far.
Well, can't argue with that.
So it's like, but unfortunately, when you're playing behind, Jalen or whatever, you're not going to get in the game unless he gets hurt.
See, and Jalen Hurts is one of my favorites because back when they were playing that, when he was playing at Alabama and Tua came in behind him in that championship game, they pulled Hurts out of there, and I thought he was playing pretty well. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe, but then when he went to Oklahoma, I was still a fan of Jalen Hurts, and then people were down on him in the draft, and now look what he's done. I don't know. I guess I never understood why people were down on him.
Well, I think because they thought he was going to be just a very athletic quarterback who couldn't stand in the pocket and throw. But what Jalen Hurts has proven is that he is an all-around quarterback. And I mean, he is a guy that can stand in there and throw it, and he's a guy that can get out of the pocket and run and get you some yards. And he deserves the championship that he has because he is an amazing player. And I think getting Saquon Barkley really, really helped him.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm glad that Saquon got his ring. I really am. I'm glad Saquon got his ring too, because he deserves it with as good as he's been as well.
Yeah, and just going from that Giants team over to the Eagles, he was. I tried to pick him in my fantasy draft like right away because I knew it was going to be good, and of course I didn't get him. But we'll finish up this pack with Josh Downs on Fuego. Kind of a neat card.
My favorite part about it's like Saquon and Henry and those guys having really good seasons last year at older ages is that the running back position came back to prominence. And now you're looking at, like, there were years where no running backs were going in the first round because they devalued the running back so much.
Right.
And I think it had a lot to do with what was the running back out of Georgia? Gurley, Todd Gurley.
Oh, Todd Gurley.
He got that big contract, and then he just fell off the map, and so everybody was kind of down on running backs. And I love that Saquon and Henry brought running backs back to prominence again. And now you're probably gonna get 3 or 4 running backs going in the first round. I love it because I love the running game. I do. I love watching these guys, pound the rock and just run people over. And there's just something about a good running game that is just fun to watch.
Well, and that'll be the thing that we'll be looking to see for our hometown Broncos to draft if they stay in the first round. That would be their pick. They need a running back.
They do. They do need a running back. And if we get the kid out of North Carolina, I'll be perfectly happy. He looks like he's going to be a good one himself. I don't think we have any chance at Genty. He's going to probably be a top 5 or 7 pick.
Yeah, I think most mocks have him sitting at 5 or 6. Yeah.
So it's like we're not going to get that guy, but the running back out of North Carolina is starting to look very promising.
I think the Raiders are a high priority for him, that I've seen, which means the Broncos will still see him.
Yeah. I'm still going to get to see Genty, but probably not on the team I want him to be on.
So we got Nick Chubb, excellent running back. Speak of the devil. We got Will Levis on his.
Yeah, Tennessee found out that he was overrated too.
I'm trying to keep the rookies on the wall here, and we got the same Barry Sanders, just not in the orange. Kyler Murray. Another.
I have never been a fan of Kyler Murray's, but I will admit, last year, towards the end of that season, he started playing some good football. If he can keep his head on straight and really play the game, he's got the athletic ability, and if he can sling it, he will be a dangerous quarterback.
He's a guy I think would have been interesting to see if he would have gone to play baseball, how well he would have done, because he could have gone either way. The Athletics were going to pick him up. So it was interesting to see him pick football. But there you are. Oh, that's kind of a neat one. A Joe Burrow for LSU with the kind of like a color match card. Pretty neat.
See, and Joe Burrow right now is probably my favorite non-Bronco quarterback. I mean, I really like Joe Burrow. I want him to have a successful career, but
yeah, and they were.
He's not on the team that usually is successful.
He was so good in when he was there at LSU, and he had. Is it LSU? Yeah. Why am I second guessing myself? And it's funny because Jamar Chase, when I'll do that later. I'm trying to sleeve this card up. I don't need to do that. But when Jamar Chase came out and they both went to the Bengals, I picked Jamar Chase up in my fantasy league, and I was hoping to get him, in the later round, which I ended up picking him up late, and he ended up winning me the fantasy season that year because him and Burrow just lit up the world. So,
well, and you're hoping they continue to do that because Jamar Chase has a lot of money.
Yeah, but
they've got a lot of money tied up in 3 guys.
I mean, he is a stud, so. All right, so that was Select. Now we're going to go over to Prizm. And I'm going to try and keep the rookies up on the board, so we'll kind of replace some of the non-rookies as we go. Ricky Williams, University of Texas.
It's like, I still remember Ditka trading his whole draft to get that guy.
Yeah.
And part of the draft from the next year.
Well, he was very good.
I don't know if he was worth the whole draft, though.
Well, yeah. There's Joe Burrow again.
It was funny because they said that Ditka just like wanted to go fishing or something, or just wanted to take the rest of the draft off, so we didn't even have to think about it. And it's like, well, yeah, you didn't have to think about it, but.
Then you got Clayton Tune.
Yeah, Clayton Tune ended. I know he ended up getting drafted by somebody, but he plays for the Arizona Cardinals. Even though Kyler Murray gets injured quite a bit, Clayton Tune doesn't get to play, but it's probably a good thing. He has no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 14. It's like he's thrown for like 70 yards.
Then you got Tanner McKee again. Out of Stanford, who has a ring. And then we've got Instant Impact, CJ Stroud. Right?
Is he at the impact zone? Is this a TNA thing?
Was he 2023? He must have been.
Yeah. He was the second pick right after Bryce Young.
Yeah. And people were so down on him because of his size. I just remember all the analysts talking about his hand size and how he was not going to be that great and all this. And I said, man, I drafted him in my fantasy league as well that year. And everybody was kind of like...
Well, I'll tell you the reason I was down on him. He played for Ohio State. Well, and before CJ Stroud, there was no quarterback that ever played for Ohio State that was a good NFL quarterback. None of them.
And I am not a fan
of your best guy is like Kirk Herbstreit or something.
I'm not a fan of Ohio State myself, but I did like CJ. He had Michael Pittman.
Oh, yeah, I like CJ. I like that he had a good season because it's like I hate Ohio State because I root for Michigan. But I like seeing that C.J. Stroud was successful for the Texans.
DK Metcalf, who's a complete monster.
And now he's going to have nobody throwing him the football.
Yep. There's Bryce Young, University of Alabama.
Who improved. I mean, he had a rough start to his career, but last year, towards the end of the year, after he got benched, he started to play. I'm glad that Bryce Young started to play better, because he seems like a good guy, and it's like he was just thrown into a bad situation on those Carolina teams. But I think he played pretty good.
Well, and
towards the end of his season, so I'm hoping that continues.
It's just the fact that he doesn't have anybody to really throw to. Carolina's not really a powerhouse of a team, so it's tough when you don't have that. And you got Will Levis once again on the Prizm card, and then Zach Charbonnet, running back for the Seahawks. Actually pretty decent. Nothing wrong with him.
No, but their main guy there is Walker when he stays healthy.
Yeah, but he gets hurt quite a bit.
He does. He really does. And that's, that's the reason people are down on running backs is because guys like him get hurt all the time. But man, when he's right, he's good.
Got TJ Watt.
Wonder if he's going to be as good as brother JJ.
Javonte Williams, who came to how funny. So Williams was out of North Carolina, and now they're looking at another North Carolina running back.
Another bruiser. Well, and here's the thing. Javonte Williams in his first season was that guy that ran over everybody. And that's what we loved about Javonte Williams here in Denver. He ran over people. He ran angry, but then he blew out his knee. Yep. And ever since he blew out his knee, you can tell he doesn't run with that same anger because I think he's worried about blowing out the knee again. So, I mean, and understandable, but the thing is, a guy like him, he has to run angry to be good because he's not elusive. So if he can't run through you, he's just going to get tackled at the line.
Right, and now he's the guy that kind of seems to get just dropped at the line.
But Dallas thinks they can unlock him.
Trey Palmer, I don't know where he's at.
If we don't know where they're at, they're not having a great career. Although we were wrong about the one guy.
Yep.
Who I've already forgotten his name because I don't follow the Colts.
Josh Downs.
Yeah, Downs. Trey Palmer played for LSU? Didn't look like an LSU uniform.
No, he was in the Cornhuskers. This one.
Yeah. So it's like, who's this Trey Palmer? Because this has him listed as he did play for Nebraska. For some reason, they have him in his LSU uniform. But he was taken in the 6th round with the 191st pick by Tampa Bay. I mean, he's not doing bad for that. He's got 51 catches and 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. So not bad. 6th round pick that contributes.
Then you got Tyreek. So he's a cornerback, it looks like. I thought so, but because he's got the build of a DB.
Tyreek Stevenson plays for the Chicago Bears. He was taken in the 2nd round by the Bears. He's pretty good. 6 INTs, 164 tackles, 3 forced fumbles. Yeah, that's a pretty good 2nd rounder right there.
They were really high on Barry in this particular draft set.
Why wouldn't you be?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is Barry. I get it.
It's Barry. But the funny part is, like, we haven't seen like a Tom Brady. I guess, probably because they couldn't license him or something. Because something like this, you would have to license those guys to get them in the packs. I mean, that's why I'd like to see like a John Elway or a Reggie White or, some of the super elites from like the 80s.
You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, excellent receiver. He dropped off a little last year, but good receiver for the Lions.
Well, it's because the Lions had so many guys. I mean, they had Jahmyr Gibbs and Laporta and one of my favorite players, Tim Patrick, that the Broncos had.
Well, Laporta was down last year. Not down, like injured, but he wasn't as explosive as the year before. They did have Jamison Williams, who I really like.
But I still think Amon-Ra is a very good number 1
for
any team, really.
They also had the handicap of Jared Goff. So
yeah, a guy that's afraid to throw deep. Hey, there's Kenny.
Kenny Pickett.
So here's the thing: University of Pittsburgh Steeler, Philadelphia Eagle. He just cannot get out of Pennsylvania.
Just cannot get out of there.
But I think he did get out of there because I can't remember. I think Kenny Pickett went to the Colts. So Kenny Pickett is going to compete for the starting job with Richardson. So what does that tell you about the confidence they have in Richardson when they bring in that guy?
Felix and Adike Azoma, who looks like a D end, like an edge. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's a Kansas City Chief, so I don't like him.
And then you
I
got
don't like him. I don't like him one little bit.
Elijah Cansey, another Pittsburgh guy.
Elijah. Okay, that is a name that it's like they were playing Scrabble one night, his parents, and they just had those letters sitting in front of us. And that would be a good name for a kid. Boy or girl, it doesn't matter. We're naming him Kalijah.
It's actually a Hank Williams song as well, Elijah.
Thing is, though, he had 11 and a half sacks last year for the Bucks.
Nice. That's pretty good.
So he's a pretty good. He was a 19th pick in the first round.
And then we got Fearless Nolan Smith, who I don't know that name, so tell me.
So why does he get the Fearless? So why does he get the Fearless card?
Tell me a little bit about Nolan Smith. I don't.
Well, he plays for the Eagles, so once again, has a ring.
Yep.
He was taken in the first round with the 30th pick overall. He had 60 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 2 pass deflections, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. So, and a very good part of that very good defense. Well, but he plays linebacker. That's probably why they let what's-his-face go, because, you know, you got a young guy like Nolan Smith. You can't hold everybody.
You got Damian Pierce, who I was really high on him late when he came in and for the Texans, but he dropped off very quickly, and I think maybe he got hurt, and then I think it was kind of like another Williams situation where he didn't want to get hurt again.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Damian Pierce too, because it looked like he was going to be the guy that Houston could depend on at running back, and then he just, like you said, he just fell off the table. And
Najee Harris for the Steelers, good running back, kind of a power guy.
I still don't understand why they let him go.
Yep.
I mean, I get that they didn't want to probably pay Najee Harris the money. But the thing is, I don't like, because of course he goes to the Chargers, which the Chargers do not need another, you know, guy that can pound it down freaking Denver's throat.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. They had such a good running game for a long time with Eckler and those guys, and then all of a sudden they had no running game, so they had to do something.
Yeah, but it's like I would rather they had no running game. They're in my division, so
you got
I would rather they stay terrible at the running.
You got Emmanuel Forbes, Mississippi State. I don't know the name off the top of my head, so
he was the 16th pick in the first round. He played for the Commanders, but then he was sent to the Rams. So he's got 2 interceptions and 45 tackles. So I'm not sure why the Commanders gave up on him or traded him for whatever reason.
And you got Joey Porter Jr. for Pennsylvania State.
He was released. He wasn't even traded. He was just straight up released in his second season.
Huh.
And let go so the Rams could just pick him up.
Interesting.
It's like, I mean, it seems like for a first round pick for you to just release the guy, especially you're talking a 2023 first round pick to just release him in his second season is weird.
Then you got Evan Hull out of Northwestern.
I'm sure wherever he is, he's incredible.
Not a name.
Probably plays for the Colts.
He looks like a fullback, so it's kind of like.
Is his last name Hull or Hall?
It's Hull. Hull.
Oh, so it's like Brett Hull. Yeah, he was a fifth round pick. Right now he plays for the Steelers. He's had one rush attempt for 1 yard. That's why we don't know who Evan Hall is.
Right, there you go.
It's like, hey,
Ooh, wait,
hey, you know what? I'll say this: he got to play NFL football.
who's this guy?
Oh, he seems like he'd be a bum. He doesn't seem like he'd be very good at all. Like he wouldn't be one of the toughest running backs to tackle in NFL history. It's like, man, that guy was so just, I mean, what a beast. And I feel bad for Earl Campbell because it's like his knees were shot.
Oh,
And I mean,
yeah.
it's like he was walking around with like a cane in his 40s. And it's like, but man, to watch him, you talk about angry running. Earl Campbell just, I mean, he had those giant, thick thighs. And it was like, how do you tackle that guy? But yeah, Earl Campbell, just fun to watch. I miss that guy, and it's too bad what happened at the end of his career.
Max Crosby, Eastern Michigan, Areta, who
if he was a Bronco, he'd be one of my favorites of all time. But he's a dirty Raider, so go away.
Derek Hall out of Auburn. Don't know where he's at either.
I like how he spells his name. Most Derek's spell their name with 2 R's, but his parents said, no, we're going to give him 1 R and his Derek. And it makes it easy to find him, though. He's a linebacker for the Seahawks, 2nd round pick. Still playing for the Seahawks. 6 sacks, 1 defensive touchdown, couple of forced fumbles, fumble recovery, 66 tackles. Definitely a contributor. Like to see that from your 2nd round picks.
BJ Ojulari.
It's like BJ and the Bear? No, not BJ and the Bear. It's like people are going, BJ and the Bear, what's that? He was a 2nd round pick, 41st overall by the Cardinals. He's got 4 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 pass deflection. So still playing. When he's in there, he's impactful.
And then we got a silver Prizm of T. Higgins. Good receiver. Plays for the Bengals. Or did he get traded?
You know, it makes me wonder if T. Higgins would be that good if he didn't have Jamar Chase on the other side.
Well, T. Higgins, when they had, was it Tyler Boyd and he's always been he's not like the number 1 guy. He's kind of like, he's a good secondary receiver.
It's like, I mean, I like T. Higgins. I really do. And I was hoping that T. Higgins would actually go to another team. You know, not because I hate the Bengals or anything, just because I don't like seeing the Bengals tie up so much money in, you know, 2 wide receivers and a quarterback, because you're going to have no depth on your team, because you've got 40% of your cap money going to 3 guys.
So the Prizms, I didn't get as many cards up on the board. We're back to Select. A few more packs of this. It's going to be, we'll probably end up normal time. Take that back. Hey, there he is. Bookends, start to finish. T. Higgins.
T. Higgins says, I'm back.
We got Kenny McIntosh. That's not a name I know, so must not be lighting it up.
Well, you know, let's see if he has more than 1 run for 1 yard. That'll, well, I'll tell you this right now. He does not have more rushing yards. He has no rushes for no yards. He is a 7th round pick, number 237 overall, but he is still with the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. There's Dak again. We already saw him. Already saw LT. And we got orange on the George Pickens, he's a good wide receiver.
Yeah, but you got to call into question his effort.
Well,
you know, I mean that's part of his thing. Is he going to just be a super diva before he really deserves to be a diva wide receiver? I mean, at least Antonio Brown waited like 5 or 6 years before he became insufferable.
Lawrence Taylor. That's a cool one.
You talk about one of the best linebackers to ever play the game.
Justin Fields.
Will the Jets be able to unlock him? I doubt it.
I doubt it. Nick Chubb, saw him already. There's Will Levis jumping again.
It's like,
let's see, and then Brian Dawkins, William Perry, and Miles Murphy.
I'll tell you, Brian, because Brian Dawkins, I think, was a Bronco for a little bit, and I love Brian Dawkins.
Those are interesting cards because it puts, it gives you like the new guy with a couple of bums. I like that. Neat one. All right, 3 more packs here. We'll see what we can hopefully get something pretty cool. Got Joe Montana.
Me and Sean used to do a show a long time ago on YouTube. And the thing is, I call Joe Montana the greatest mediocre quarterback to ever play. Because it's like, you know what? If him and Elway would have switched places, if Elway would have been a Niner and Montana would have been a Bronco, I don't think the Broncos go to as many Super Bowls. And it's like, and I think Elway wins more Super Bowls because that West Coast offense fit. As you know, once Shanahan got here, you saw how well that West Coast offense worked for Elway. And I just think that Montana was the product of a great offensive line. Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, Jerry Rice, Brent Jones, Dwight Clark, John Taylor. He had so many great players surrounding him at all times.
Got Devontae Adams, one of my favorites, of course, because he played for the.
He has a ring. No, that's Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say Adams doesn't have a ring.
Wait, no, that's Devontae Smith. That's wrong, Devontae. It's like you don't get a lot of them, but it's like I've already confused the only 2 I know.
Chris Olave plays for the Saints.
It's like he's not bad for the Saints.
Luke Musgrave. Let's see. He's with the Steelers, I believe.
I think so. If I put in Luke, it's going to bring up Skywalker first. Currently, do you know where he's playing?
Where's that?
Green Bay.
Oh.
He's your player. In fact, he's got 41 catches for 397 yards and a tutty. He was a 2nd-round pick.
Why was I was thinking Steelers, but yeah.
Well, Steelers and Packers, you could almost interchange the 2 organizations. I mean, they both have the same philosophy, to winning championships, which is draft well, develop your own players, don't spend a lot in free agency, don't do a lot of silly trades. And then, so I mean, they're old school teams that are still sticking around in small markets.
You got Jalen Hyatt. I'm not sure where he's at right now either.
But they gave him a fancy card.
They did.
Don't worry, Jalen Hyatt plays for the Giants. That's why we don't know him. 3rd-round pick. 31 catches, 435 yards. I think those are just his NFL statistics, and it doesn't seem to give their career NFL statistics. It just likes to give, 24 is the only year they would have played. No, he played in 23 too. So it's like it's just weird that they do give the totals. I'm glad because I'm sitting there going, don't do that to me. Don't just sit there and give me half of a. But that is their career totals.
All right, next pack we start out with Miles Murphy.
Hey, we already saw that guy,
Hmm.
but he was on a card with a bunch of other people.
We got Justin Herbert.
You know what? I don't like him. You know why? He's a Charger.
Yeah, hey, there's our other guy, Kenneth Walker.
Hey, we were talking about you.
Yeah. Tim Brown.
See, my favorite story about Tim Brown, and he was a Raider his pretty much his whole career, but he was up for free agency. And Pat Bowlen went after Tim Brown. And Pat Bowlen knew that Al Davis would not let Tim Brown become a Bronco. So every time Al Davis would come up with a higher offer, it's like Pat Bowlen would up his offer to Tim Brown,
Right.
just so that Al Davis would have to keep upping his offer to Tim Brown.
Yep.
So because it's like he knew Al Davis was never going to let him come here.
Right.
But then at some point, even Pat Bowlen has to go, I don't know if I want to pay this guy that much, and he had to back off. But it was just funny to watch him play that game with Al Davis back in the day.
And then we'll end this pack on Unstoppable for Jackson Smith and Jiba.
Unfortunately, he's Ohio State.
And a Seahawk.
Which means he's probably sacked Russell Wilson. I don't know. It's like...
I'm not a fan of the Seahawks, and I never liked Pete Carroll at all, even though I know he's not there, but Pete Carroll was always my least favorite, so...
For me, my least favorite coach was always Belichick, because I thought he was overrated. But, you know, the thing is, if he wins a national championship in North Carolina or gets them to, like, the playoffs, it's like, even I'll admit that he did a pretty good job and might have to change my opinion of him and not just say Brady carried him there.
Emmitt Smith. No introduction needed on him. Jamal Williams. AJ Brown has a ring. I've always
does have a ring.
I've always been really high on AJ Brown. He's a very good wide receiver, and had some choice. I remember, I think it was this season, he had some trouble with the Eagles because he was fighting to get the ball more.
Well, yeah, because like mid-season they were starting to talk about there was turmoil in the Eagles locker room.
Yeah.
Because AJ Brown wasn't getting enough targets, and it's like, so they started saying, oh, see, this is the problem with, you know, their coaching staff and everything. It's like they can't even control them. And then it seems like after that controversy, the Eagles were the best team in football for the rest of the year. Well, so, I mean, whatever it was solidified all of them as teammates, and they played very well the rest of the year.
Unfortunately, like, Saquon was playing so well that there was very few targets to go around, and then Devontae Smith is the beneficiary of A.J. Brown being so good because they're covering A.J. Brown, and then Devontae Smith is open. So,
yeah.
And you got Christian Gonzalez for he was a Duck, and then I'm trying to remember where he went.
I think Christian Gonzalez was a Patriot. I think he went in like the first or second round. I remember when they got him. It's like they said, "Oh, that's a great Belichick pick," and it was just like, no, there was a lot of people that were high on him.
Yeah,
but yeah, he was the 17th pick in that draft, and he went to the Patriots, and he's been very good for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he was a solid player. I've always liked the Ducks, but specifically because of their uniforms.
Yeah, it's funny. You go back to the '80s; they were not a uniform changer very often. But boy, when they started changing their uniforms, all that wacky stuff, they embraced it wholeheartedly.
And then we'll end these packs on Dalvin Cook of the Seminoles. Obviously, it wasn't that wasn't his draft year, but
But you know, the fun part about that is that's a running back, and it looks like he's getting ready to run a route.
yeah.
Like he's lined up outside the tackle box. I mean, don't I think Dalvin Cook is actually a very good receiving back,
Yeah,
but
for the most part, he always did pretty well. But it was kind of unfortunate to see his career there at the end when he kind of fell off a little bit there.
he did. And I mean, but that's the pounding of a running, and that's why the reason the running backs got devalued is because they have such short lifespans. But some of these running backs are really starting to take a lot better care of themselves, and so they're last. Some of them are lasting a little bit longer than they should. But back in the day, some of these running backs still. I mean, Walter Payton played for like 16 years. I think Emmett Smith played for like 13 or 14 or even longer. So there's always been running backs that have bucked the trend of the 3-year running back and then you're gone.
Right.
But you know, but the thing is, it's like King Henry. He does a lot of work to keep himself in shape. I mean, he puts in the work to stay in great shape. And that's why he's still able to just like bowl people over after being in the league for about 10 years and still be one of the best running backs in the NFL, period.
And just a complete monster, you know.
Yeah, absolute complete monster.
That's one guy I would not want to be in front of.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, like Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis, blew out his knee. He only had really 7 seasons in the NFL. Um, you know, Still made the Hall of Fame because he was a great running back. I mean, he was just a great running back for a short. Even Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers only played like 7 years, and still a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, it's tough. It's very tough on these guys because when they're running into guys that are 350 pounds, even as big as they are, they're running into guys that are still 100 pounds, 120 pounds more than them.
Absolutely. All right, Randy. Well,
And then when those guys tackle them, they all land on them.
well, that was our episode for the day. I know we could sit here and talk about football for probably another 2 hours, 3 hours. Who knows? It could be a long time.
Oh yeah, easy.
Maybe we'll look for doing another post draft football show. Do something a little different. I'll see what I can dig up, cards wise. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut the episode a little bit short today. Like I said, I got some kiddos that are looking for eggs, and I gotta get involved in the process here. So I hope I hope everybody does enjoy their Easter with their family, friends, whatever you're gonna do. I'm most excited to eat some deviled eggs today because it's one of my favorites, and yeah, that's the whole fun of finding dyed Easter eggs is I get to make deviled eggs, put jalapenos in it.
That's
Yeah.
the best part.
Okay, ham is good. All that, yes, I like it. But deviled eggs, bring them on. I'm gonna eat way too many. So that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, everybody else has something that they're looking forward to today. And we got the draft coming up on Thursday, so that'll be fun to sit and watch. I know you'll be watching.
Oh, I will be.
And I'll send you over my mock draft some point this week so you can follow along and see how poorly I do.
Yeah, it's like it's tough. It's tough to do a mock draft. I've done it the last like 3 seasons, and it's like I do pretty well early on. It's those later picks that are tougher.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, once again, happy Easter, everybody. It's been a fun show. I'm gonna get to finding some Easter eggs. So have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.